Call the meeting to order. We'll stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No, this is a special meeting though.
Oh, so okay, so it's a special meeting though. I got you, because I was like,
No, special meeting, we're gonna be voting.
okay. Okay, got you.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Brewer. Here. Trustee Carter.
Here.
Trustee Grant.
Here.
Trustee Tate. Trustee Todd.
Here.
Trustee Zupan.
Here.
I'll entertain a motion to go into recess for the update on the pending litigation and with action to be taken as we come out.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Zupan, second by Trustee Carter. Any questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Brewer.
Here.
Yes. Trustee Carter.
Yes.
Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Tate. Trustee Todd.
Yes.
Trustee Zupan.
Yes.
Motion is carried. Can we reconvene? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll? I'm sorry. I'd like to take a motion to reconvene from the board.
Second.
It's moved by Trustee Carter, second by Trustee Brewer.
Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Trustee Carter.
Yes.
Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Tate. Trustee Todd.
Yes.
Trustee Zupan.
Yes.
Motion is carried. Okay, new business. I'll accept the motion to approve a settlement and release of case number 2012 L6 6052 Clanton versus Village of Sauk Village for the total amount of $45,000. Each occurrence is outlined below. Item number one, $8,842.11. You don't have that on there? I'm sorry, 11. Okay, I can't read. $11,842.11. Item number two, $9,473.68. Item number three, $9,473.68. And item number four, $14,210.53. And they're all inclusive of fees and court costs. I'll accept the motion.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Carter, second by Trustee Grant. Any questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Carter.
Yes.
Trustee Tate.
Yes.
Trustee Todd.
Yes.
Trustee Zupan.
Yes.
Motion is carried. Public comments, all questions and comments will be directed to the mayor. Each speaker may comment on the special meeting agenda items only. Each speaker is allowed one opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes and may not engage in debate. And I will listen to all comments before I respond. Please state your name.
Debbie Williams. Are we going to find out what this lawsuit is about at any point? And is it going to be available for public record? That's all I need to know.
Yes, the lawsuit will be available for public record.
Excuse me, Bernadine Hopkins. My question is really the same thing. Only thing I would like to know if you could give us any information like now regarding what this is about.
As I always state, at the end of all questions, I will comment on them now.
But I don't like that. I'm sorry, but I don't want to wait till everybody get through and then I got to remember my question. That's not fair. I mean, how you just decide to do that?
For the same reason you're doing now?
Because you don't want anybody
No,
to
for
talk
the
to
same
you?
reason you're doing now, going back and forth.
Answer, and
I
I'm going
will
to sit
answer,
down.
as I stated before, I will answer at the end. After everybody asks their question, that's why I write them down, so I don't forget. Okay, as was stated a few minutes ago, the lawsuit, once it's been ratified, copies will be made public. As far as, this was a lawsuit that happened back in 2010 or 2011. And it's just been settled now. So all the particulars will be made available publicly, and it was a settlement. So it was a settlement that was agreed upon by both parties, and that was the award that we just got through voted on, the $45,000. Originally, the lawsuit was for a lot more, in the hundreds of thousands, but it was settled down to, we gave them, the lawyers, the right to go with $60,000, and they came back with $45,000. So that was the savings that we was able to get to. So, but all the different particulars will be made public. Any comments from the trustees? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Carter. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Brewer,
Yes.
trustee Carter,
Yes.
trustee Grant,
Yes.
trustee Tate,
Yes.
trustee Todd,
Yes.
and trustee Zupan.
Yes.
Motion is carried. 2 minutes, I think that's all we need to start the committee meeting. And we're gonna move a table right in front. We're gonna, if it's okay with everyone, we're gonna stay up here rather than try to move tables back and move them in. So the board can stay right here, even though it's a committee meeting, and the presenters could, we can put a table straight across and they can face the board. They can go from right there? Okay. Okay, we can go into our committee of the whole meeting. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Brewer,
Here.
trustee Carter,
Here.
trustee Grant,
Here.
trustee Tate, trustee Todd,
Here.
trustee Zupan.
Here.
Okay, first item is an ordinance adopting, recommending regulations governing the floodplain in accordance with the requirements of the National Flood Insurance Program. This will be explained to us by Mr. Joseph Wiswell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, the board should have received a copy of the ordinance in their box on Friday. Basically what this is the FEMA completed a flood insurance study and flood insurance rate maps, which will become effective on February 15th of 2019. In order for the village residents to maintain their flood insurance, the village has to, of course, participate and adopt the ordinance that's before you. What this is basically the requirements to approve enforcement for development in floodplain areas within the village. FEMA we did sit down with FEMA earlier this year, and we had a discussion with them with respect to the flood maps that they've done. And there was really no major changes from their previous evaluation that they did. So the board it's recommended that the board approve the ordinance that adopts the storm water management for the village. It's pretty straightforward. Last time it was done was actually quite some time ago.
Any questions from the board?
Can we get a copy of the previous, is that floodplain insurance? Do you have a copy of that?
I do not.
Is it possible we could get a copy?
The flood maps are not available in hard copy by FEMA anymore. They are available online. If you wanted to pull those up, you can go to FEMA's website to pull up the latest flood maps and the most current ones. But they are not providing the village with any paper copies of those flood maps, so the village does not have copies of those. I can give you a copy of the link for the site if you'd like, trustee, and you can peruse those as you feel.
Okay, do we have any, a copy of all the measurements or something that's they're using to determine if, what has to be, how much it costs and everything? There has to be some kind of measurements, floodplain measurements in the area.
Well, FEMA determines what is and what is not in a floodway or a flood zone, and they actually assign flood zones based on probability of flooding each year, whether it's a 100-year or a 500-year floodplain. Those designations are made by FEMA, and those are available on the maps.
Okay, so we don't know if Sauk Village has any issue with floodplains or anything. Do you know, offhand, do you know?
One of my discussions with the FEMA representative, he didn't really say that we had a really big issue with flood zones and flood plains. There are some concerns with respect to Lincoln Meadows because that area was developed, and they have not, and they still have not updated the flood maps for that area. But they can request anyone that has flood insurance, what's called a flood map determination through FEMA, and all they have to do is fill out a form, obtain a topographical survey of their property, and FEMA will actually make a determination if it's required that they are, in a flood zone, whether they need to have flood insurance or not.
So that information is going to be made available to the residents of Lincoln Meadows?
I believe they're aware of it. If they have a mortgage on their home, they also would have to have flood insurance if they're in a flood zone that requires it.
I mean, to be on the safe side, can we just shoot them a little memo or something, say this is something you might
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it doesn't impact all of the residents. There's just a small portion that are on the north end of Lincoln Meadows that are impacted by it. But again, sending them the information, letting them know that, they can request a flood determination in order to determine whether they're in a flood zone going forward, do what's called a map amendment. They can do that for individuals. They won't do it for the whole area, but they'll do it for individual parcels of land.
But, I think it would be a great idea if we would do something like that for the residents over in Lincoln Meadow. That would be a great, to know and to do. And something that should come from the administration just to give them a head up, and then you potentially might have a problem, or this is something you need to address. That's something we might want to do.
Mr. White, is this ordinance, is this an update from the one that was written in 2000?
That's correct. So
This is 18 years?
18 years ago.
And what we have before us is showing what the new ordinance would look like?
That's correct.
If it's
And
adopted?
that's correct. And the strikeouts that are indicated here were done by legal. So they've gone through it and reviewed the recommendations that were provided by FEMA, and they've made their own recommendations to the board with respect to the changes.
What does OWR stand for?
Are you on a specific page?
It's scattered throughout. Every time I see a reference to IGNR, it's /OWR. So like page 2, page 4. Let's see where else it is. I think the first time it's on there is page 2, though.
Yeah, it's one of the divisions of the Illinois Department of Natural Resources.
No.
Page 7.
Yeah, I see where it's indicated on that.
And then just a general question, and I don't know, Mayor, Clerk, who can answer this, but since we voted to de-annex our footprint into Will County, do we need to continue to keep saying Will County in all these ordinances and resolutions?
We're not finalized that yet, so until then.
Okay.
You said the ordinance is in, you don't have it.
Trustee Zupan, I did just a quick Google on that. It stands for the Office of Water Resources.
Yeah, thank you. I had somebody also tell
No,
me that.
he's a little faster, sorry.
Yeah.
So are we gonna get a copy of the ordinance before?
It should be in the box.
It's in our box? With it? No, I don't have
All
one.
the ordinances were put in all of the trustees' box, or it may have been in your folder.
But it's not floodplain, it's called stormwater management.
So can we just get a copy? That's fine. Yeah. Thank you. It says in one, I don't know.
Any other questions? Have this put on the next agenda to be voted on. Hopefully by then we will have a copy of all this redaction taken out and the clean copy before then. All right. Thank you. Next item, ordinance for the levy and assessment of the taxes of the taxes for 2018 for the Village of Sauk Village, Cook and Will counties. As you know, Sauk Village is not a home rule community and is limited to property tax increase of the consumer price index of 2.1 and no more than 5% without having a truth in taxation public hearing. The property tax levy that we have before us will decrease the homeowners' property taxes in the village by about 22%. We are better funding the police and fire pension funds. These two funds have gone without sizable increases in the levy for many years. For the last 2 years, we have supplemented funding to the two pensions from operational budgets. This is our obligation. I feel strongly that we live up to our commitments. The average decrease, as I stated before, was 21%. I have a few communities here, a few areas here that I got numbers of how much you would save. Will save around $497 per household. Deer Creek, $357. Carolina Estates, $126. Plum Creek, $366. Indian Hills, $82. St. James Estates, $128. Now you probably asked me where these places are located. And Southdale and Bel Air. Southdale is $74 and Bel Air is $66. So the minimum, wherever you live, will be at least $66 in savings of your property taxes in the next upcoming year. The way the taxes were itemized, the levy was itemized, is a breakdown. Does everyone have a copy of the breakdown for the fiscal year of 2018? Everyone have a copy of that? And you can see that from last year to this year, we're saving $730,000. Your taxes will be reduced $730,123, or 21.8%.
You said property tax will be reduced to what?
For the whole village, property taxes will be reduced by $730,123. And you do have a breakdown in front of you stating the changes. We are going to add a little more to the police pension and the fire pension. That had an increase because they've been underfunded for years. Last year and year before last, I asked to have money actually put into the police and fire pension from the budget. But this year, I have other things that we're going to bring to the board to try to, but I don't want to raise taxes right now. We don't need to. And in order for us to raise taxes for something that's not in here, we have to have a referendum. So, are there any questions?
So the only place that we can fund police officers within this particular listing is under corporate, is that true?
Police officers, you mean as far as levy? This is for levy.
Yeah.
This is for levy. I mean, if you put a referendum in to levy, but it's nothing on here that says anything, that's corporate, is not the police officers, no.
Okay, so there's no way that we could...
The levy, you can if you want to have a, yes, you want to put it on the,
No, I'm saying without the referendum. I'm
No.
saying live within this.
I'm looking at,
Instead of reducing by 22%, say reduce 10% instead and use that other 10% somewhere in here to increase the police budget somewhere.
okay, I'm looking at another way to increase the police officers. And at this particular point in time, I'm not looking to tax the residents to do that.
Right, if
So
I
I have
may
something
add,
that I want to bring to the board for police hiring. And I'm looking to do that. But I'm not looking to do it with raising taxes.
so if I just may add, Mayor, we are limited by the 4.9% total cap, so the only other place to take it would be to lower our pension contributions there. And one thing to note is that the fire pension fund is currently funded at the 4% level, and the police pension fund is funded right now at the 35% level. By law, we have until the year 2040 to be at the 90% funded level, and that's 22 years away approximately. We do recognize that these increases are not going to get us to close the gap, but they are a step in the right direction, and that's what we're trying to map out here, steps in the right direction. And there's no doubt that all of us inherited this problem. However, we do have the duty to be able to start taking a step in the right direction and close it. So we could do that, but we'd have to take away from the pension funds, and that seems to be an area where we have not honored our commitments in the past.
Question, based on what you just said, I think last year we contributed, I think, 50,000 to the fire fund.
We did. We absolutely
plan
did.
to do that in addition to this as well this year, or do you
It is in the budget to do both. So it is, right now it's in our appropriation budget to be able to continue the 50,000 into the fire pension and 50,000 into the police pension.
Okay, so just to confirm, you're just saying this is not the place to be funding additional police staff? Okay.
I don't want to use, at this particular point in time, taxes for that reason. Like I said, if it comes to that, then we will have to have a referendum, but it'll have to go before on the ballot to levy for X amount for police officers, yes.
Okay, because I mean, we had the choice where we could leave taxes, the levy flat, right, versus decrease by 22%.
If I may, that it was not one of our choices.
Okay, that's fine. And that's where I think I was going, was because I think corporate was already at the 2.1%, and that's our max, so I didn't think we could go any higher than that, so thank you for the clarity.
Any other questions in regards to the levy? Okay. That will be put on the agenda next week to be voted on. Next item, a resolution requesting Cook County Clerk to apply for an elevated loss and cost factor to the 2018 levy for the Village of Sauk, Village, Will, and Cook. In regards to that, every year, even though we levy for X amount of money, they cut us by 10% or sometimes even more. That they give us what we ask for minus 10%. So we have to request, we put a resolution in the request to get our 10% back. And every year we do that. So it's no different than what we've been doing. We're gonna put a resolution into the Cook County to ask for them to give us our 10%. In other words, give us all of our levy that we're asking for. Because they usually cut a lot of places down, but if you don't ask, you don't get. So this is something that we're going to pursue. We do it every year to recoup. Pardon me? I thought we did it every year, okay. To pursue the 10% of costs that we normally would lose, Cook County will cut you 10%, so we're gonna file a resolution to get our 10% loss back. Any questions on that?
So I was looking for an Exhibit A. I didn't see one.
Trustee, I put that up on the dais this evening.
Gotcha.
We just finished
It was
the
up
calculations
here.
for the county.
Did you got it?
Yeah, I got it now. Yep.
No, it should be yeah.
And if you look at it from right to left, on the very bottom, you'll see the percentage of collections and how it's gone down historically from 98% down to 90 versus the extension, and then versus the levy, it went from 96 down to 77, 78%. And Cook County did apply the 10% that the village requested on the last year's levy. So the 2017 payable 18, that 10% was included on the extension.
Any other questions?
Just if I may, Mr. Mayor, just to let the board know, there's about 18 pages on the Cook County's website of delinquent property taxes just for 2017 alone. Some of those are obviously the years that are owed, but it's about 18% of the total parcels that are delinquent in their taxes. So almost 1 out of 5 parcels in the village.
Okay, item number 4, resolution of the Village of Sauk Village, Cook and Will County. I'm sorry, yes, number 3, yes, we put that on the agenda. Resolution of the Village of Sauk Village, Cook and Will Counties authorizing the renewal of the Class A property tax incentive for the property commonly known as 21751 Rasmussen Drive, and the PIN numbers is number 3226-201-011-000 and 32-26103-001-0000. Basically, what we're doing is renewing their Class 8 tax incentive, and you guys please step in here and let me know, is this all of the area over there in TIF 3 or just certain area?
This is the original parcel that was built out in the Logistics Center. DP Partners built that as a spec property back in like 2004. WSI, Warehouse Specialties, was the tenant in that building. They've requested the extension of that. They came in about 2008 in that time frame. So they're asking for the renewal of the Class 8. Cook County does permit that. It's commonly done throughout Cook County. We've gone through before how a Class 8 works, but essentially for the first 10 years that's reduced from 25% of assessed value down to 10%, and then for the next 2 years it increases until the 13th year when you would be at 100% of your assessment or back to 25%.
When is this particular Class 8 up, the one that we're talking about now?
This particular one ends this year.
I hear you.
This ends this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
2018?
It expires, well, the renewal period is in 2018. They still have 2 more years, but they can request a renewal in year 10, which is, this is year 10.
And is there an exhibit that's missing again?
The original resolution is available. I do not have it in here because it wasn't submitted with the original resolution from legal. But I will give the board a copy of the original one from DP Partners from 2004.
Do we have any idea how much money, I guess the village has saved because we did the Class 8 for the last, 10 years or 13 years or something?
You said that the village saved?
Yeah, not saved, but the money's been taken and put it into TIF. So how much money has been, I guess, I wouldn't say saved.
Okay.
Well, they're not paying the full amount. Is it reduced
Right.
by 10%?
It's actually, it's almost 40% reduction
40%?
in the taxes that they pay. But understand that the 100% of the tax revenue goes to the village right now. So whereas the village would only collect about 20% of that, we're getting 100% of 40%. So
100% of
100% of 40%. Yeah.
100%, okay.
And that goes into the TIF district, TIF 3.
These particular parcels of land, what specific buildings are these?
This is the Warehouse Specialties. It's the one that's on Mark Collins Drive.
Warehouse specialty?
If you go all the way down Mark Collins Drive, it's the last building on your left. It's about the size of the Nimitz.
And the other one was?
It's
Oh,
two
both of the
it's two
same
parcels,
one?
but it's the same building.
Now, follow my question, can I ask this? We're saving 40% because we got a Class 8 for these 2 parcels of land, okay? Now, when we get ready, can you tell me, it's in TIF 3, right? So they get 40% reduction that goes to TIF 3. Okay, so that means that the money's going to be put back into TIF to make whatever improvements that they want to make, right? Okay, however, when we come out to the, they get a tax break. There's no thing for a business. But then, this is my thought. You have residents out here who have had properties for years. We're not getting a 40% reduction in anything. And then you come back and TIF 3, we just had to refund TIF 3 to get additional money to make whatever improvements in there. They're getting all this refunding and everything to make improvements to a business, but you talking about the residents and we're not getting anything. And, you follow my, am I missing something or what am I missing?
I'm not sure I understand if there's a question in there.
But the question is that all the, by giving them another Class 8 renewal, they're getting a reduction. That's a business, but I'm thinking about the residents. What
Right.
do we get?
Well, I mean, when you think of it from that perspective, I guess the business wouldn't be here if not for the Class 8, and that's why that incentive is in place. So if that business was not here, but for that incentive, the 200 jobs that building provides wouldn't be in Sauk Village. So that's 200 people coming here into the village to work, or that work here from the village, or those opportunities are available for the village residents for work. Those wouldn't be here.
Okay.
So there's a benefit with that. There's a benefit that Warehouse Specialties is actually paying the property taxes to help pay for the bonds that were used for the infrastructure improvements that were originally done in 2002. And now we're refunding those bonds now with the same expiration date, and the village is going to save some money by doing that. So that's a benefit to the village residents because they're not having to pay those bonds. So if the village didn't renew the Class 8, for instance, And they said, you know what, we're not going to pay $1.8 million in property taxes when we can go to Indiana. So, I mean, there's a benefit to do the Class 8 for the business, because you're going to retain the business here in the village as opposed to having them move elsewhere. And then having a vacant building where the vacancy rate, or vacant tax rate would go down to 10% anyway.
So you said 200 people, about, you just give me-
Approximately 200 people.
200 people.
That there's actually
Okay.
2 separate businesses there.
Okay, so we're not talking about the one particular one we have. We don't know how many people that's in the warehouse present. Do we know how many people?
How many people actually work there?
Yeah.
Between both buildings, there's about 235.
So that's all the,
Right, they go between both buildings.
Okay.
They actually have a building to the west and a building that they have their warehousing on the east, which is the particular building for the Class 8.
now,
And Pratt Industries is also in there as well, and they have about 35 employees.
35.
Right.
Okay, so you mentioned that we wouldn't have the property tax to be paid, the 1.8 million to be paid if warehouse wasn't there. Okay,
Correct.
but just think about it this way too. Just speculation since we're talking. We're not getting anything now. Everything we get goes back into the TIF. It doesn't benefit the residents any. All that money goes back into the TIF. So where is it the benefits to the residents?
The benefits for the businesses that are in the different tips in the industrial park, we still sell water to everybody that's in Sauk Village. So you get water bills. There is no break on that. Whatever that they're charged, they're charged. And as far as jobs are concerned, I mean, I'm not saying that 50% of the jobs there in that TIF come from Sauk Village, but there's a sizable amount of people that are employed within that industrial park that live in Sauk Village and that trade in Sauk Village, that come out and patronize some of our industries and retail that we have in Sauk Village. So just like this new thing that's going to be coming with the trucks, MFT money will be coming out. We'll get a lot more MFT money because it is our motor fuel tax. So therefore, our intake in motor fuel tax will increase. As was just said, though, if we don't give them an incentive, less than a mile away is Indiana. Believe me, we've lost a couple of businesses already to Indiana in the last 4 or 5 years because there was no incentive. We had nothing to give them to keep them here in Illinois. It's hard to keep businesses in Illinois, especially for us because we're right next door to Indiana, and they'll give them a farm to come and do business there. So for them to even be here is a testament that, you know, they're going to ask for something. They're in business to make money. And they're going to ask for something, and if you don't want to give it to them, they'll go somewhere else and get it. But they're going to open up. And they're going to have businesses wherever it may be. It may not be here in Sauk Village, it may not be in Illinois. But these multi-million-dollar and billion-dollar corporations are going to still open up. I mean, you look at Amazon. Amazon, who knows how many, they got 1,000 or 1,200 per ship. I'm glad, I know Mokina's happy that they're there. They gave them the farm, but then they got commerce, and they were able to build things because they got those many people going in and out of their area, trading. So the benefits you may not see right here in front, but it does benefit the village, because if you didn't have those industries, who else would help pay for all your public services that we have? Who else would pay for all the different things that have to be paid for through the village if it wasn't for a lot of industry and a lot of retail? So it's not that we're not doing, or it's not that it's not helping or benefiting the residents. Yes, it is. As I just stated, the taxes are going to be lowered. They're going to be lowered the coming next fiscal year. I'm not looking to raise more taxes right now. I'm looking to work within and to hire without raising taxes. That's the mandate I have in front of me right now. But to say that the residents aren't benefiting from the businesses that are coming in TIFs, only way you're going to get businesses to come out into south suburbs is through TIF. You got to have something, because the county will give you a little something, but nobody can compete with Indiana if Indiana want to put its foot forward and say, hey, you come over here, we'll give you everything you want.
And if I could, Mr. Mayor, you touched on a very good point. The Lake County, Indiana, for their commercial and industrial property, you pay 3%. Okay, so 3% of your value. Over here in Sauk Village, the rate's 16%. So it's a big difference. And it's very hard to be on a competitive field without that Class A or without the 6B.
I understand and I appreciate the answer, but still, in fact, the facts are, you have a 40% reduction in TIF 3, the area that we're going to go want a renewal license. I'm just questioning it. I didn't say I'm for or against it. I'm just putting it out there. If you get a 40% reduction, that means that's 40% less money you're going to get. And at that point, and we already said that we're having problems with our property taxes, you get a 40% reduction in businesses, and then you have a taxpayers out there that we know we have to pay taxes for. You might want to, I don't know how much a reduction it can be, but we might want to look at how much we're paying for that big reduction. 40% is a lot of money. So I don't know if it's standard or whatever, but it seems like to me if they get a 40% reduction, that and like the mayor said, which we didn't know, that we're not having an increase in our taxes either. So you might want to emphasize that to residents, because when businesses give a reduction, we should get one too. That's the way I feel about it.
Any other questions in regard to item number 4? Okay, Madam Clerk, note that we're going to put that on the agenda to be voted on. All right, the next item, public comment. All questions and comments shall be directed to the mayor. Each speaker may comment on any matter pertaining to the business of Sauk Village. Each speaker is allowed one opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes. May not engage in debate or counter discussions, and I will answer all questions and comments after all questions have been presented. Come up, state your name for the record.
Linda Washington, on behalf of Citizens for Informative Dialogue and those residents that were not able to participate during the march and those that were, we have a silent protest going on tonight in case if you even wondered what those signs over there are. They say what we feel, police and fire, you need to be more transparent, more police officers. If you take the time to read what the residents care about, this is what we care about. All those signs over there, what they say, more police officers. We have signs that we put up and that we're going to be putting these all around the village to let residents know that we do hear what they say. So when you see these signs and you were elected by the residents to have their concerns in mind, this is what the residents care about. Some of you walked out and looked at them and read them. Some of you all don't know them, so I wanted to get up to explain. On behalf of the residents, these are the things we want to see done with our tax dollars. Also, I'm glad to hear that the mayor said that he's trying to figure out a way to get more police officers, because we definitely do need more police officers. With Christmas coming up, we've been telling residents that when they do buy big gifts like televisions and games for their children, don't put those boxes in the garbage can, but put them in black garbage bags and tie them up around Christmas time, because people go over and look in your garbage just to see what you bought, and they're breaking your house and trying to steal what you have. Also, people know that you're shopping. I had several residents, a few residents that got in contact with some of the members on our committee, and they left just to go to the store, and when they got back, their homes were already broken into. Some of them had a window broken out, some had things actually taken, rent money, jewelry on their dresses. This is a high season for break-ins and for robbery and for vandalism, people looking for any kind of money that don't have anything. So getting more police officers and adhering to some of the things that the resident want, we really appreciate you all taking the residents into consideration. Thank you.
Judy Cast here. My name is Judy Cast. You spell my last name C-A-S-T. There's no S's, nothing else added on. Everybody here that knows me knows that there are times when I have not gotten up here, and I don't get up here if I can't back up what I say. And I have used that as my personal issues with getting up here. Therefore, tonight, I want to read a letter to you that I received from the State's Attorney's Office. This is from Human Resources, sent Thursday, November 29th, 2018 at 2:34 p.m. to Stephen Silverman. Subject FOIA request for review, 2018 PAC 55103, register Mrs. Judith Cast. Deputy Silverman, this letter is in response to Judy Cast FOIA PAC review 2018 55103. Deputy Silverman, the false accusation by Mrs. Cast in her September 28, 2018 email to the PAC is extremely concerning. Mrs. Cast is implying that the former treasurer, now interim finance director of the village, is not operating at a professional level of financial code of conduct and utilize a legal opinion to manage and oversee the finances of the village. This is simply not true. Mrs. Cast's false accusation that the village treasurer stated at a recent village board meetings that she has a legal opinion concerning operational transfer is simply false. The village is unclear how an assumption can be classified as a FOIA request. Unfortunately, it is very hard to defend against a negative because no such documents exist. In regards to Mrs. Cast's FOIA request, the response was based on no such documents exist, and the FOIA was verified with the former village treasurer, who clearly stated that, and I quote, she did not communicate that she has a legal opinion for operational transfers. This is a false accusation toward a professional with 30 years of financial background with a University of Chicago master's degree in finance. In closing, please know that Sauk Village treats all of our citizens and our FOIA requesters with professional and respect. Professionalism and respect. Did you say time? Okay, I will have copies of these for anybody that wishes to see them. I also have a response. I spent 45 minutes on the phone with Mr. Silverman, and I did attach, send him a response to the letter, and I did send him copies of videotapes that prove I'm not the liar, she is.
Last week I got up here regarding a vicious dog that has had numerous tickets issued to the family. You made a statement. You didn't know how anybody could know that that family has been issued over $4,000 worth of tickets. I'm here to tell you that I know how much they were issued because I showed up in court. They did not. When you don't show up for a court date, the ticket original amount doubles. Then it'll triple because they don't care and they don't show up. That's an issue. I don't know where it's going to stand. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but that vicious dog is still there. There's also a house on 221st, and as the mayor, I would think that if you're looking around for economic development and you're watching the residents closely, if you drive down 221st Street, on the south side of the street, you're going to see a house that they are running a business from that house with cars lined up on jacks
which is dangerous for children that get off the buses and go to those neighbors. There is a blue tarp, so you can't miss that house. I understand they've received numerous tickets. Nothing's been done. They leave that blue tarp up there. It is an eyesore. It's a detriment to the neighborhood, and it's a danger to see those cars up on cinder blocks when they're running a business out of that residence. I think somebody should take note.
Good evening, Debbie Williams. First of all, I want to thank the mayor and the board for giving us some information about the property tax decreases that we could be expecting. That's fabulous news for the residents. I just hope that the decrease in taxes does not decrease the services that we're going to be receiving, because we still have a lot of services that we're not receiving, such as the fire hydrants. We need to find out. We need to get a more current update on where we are with fixing the fire hydrants. I think we really need to address that. And also, I'm glad to hear that the mayor is looking into ways to increase the police department, because as we've all been saying, this is all important to us. Living in a hotbed that I live in, police officers are really important to me, so I'm glad to see that that's happening. I noticed the clock here, I think, is a little off. Just since daylight savings time. So, yeah, about an hour. So if we could fix that, because we looked up while you were in executive session, we thought, wow, you guys have been back there a long time. But anyway, that's just a little housekeeping note. And finally, the website. I see that we still don't have any financial information or ordinances up since 2017. I don't know how police department and residents know what's the most current ordinances if it's not on the website and there's no recodification been done. We have a new police chief who's working with a severely old code book, so he doesn't even have, experience dealing with what codes are and are not in place. So I'm not sure what he's using as a reference when he's being asked a question about whether or not a particular instance that's happening is against code or within our code. So it's just a thought, and again, I'd be more than happy to assist anybody if they want me to work with them on getting that code book recodified. It's a project, it's a big project, but the money was in the budget several times to get it done, and it really should be a priority pretty soon. Again, thank you for the information that we've heard tonight. Good evening.
Heidi Parker. I went to Sauk Plaza the other night. Not night, it was in the afternoon. It had gotten dark a little early. I couldn't believe how dark it is over there. It is scary. I remember when you were a trustee, that was your pet project. You wanted to improve it, make it beautiful. What happened? Something needs to be done about it.
Okay, as far as the letter from the state's attorneys or attorney general, I don't know if it's state's attorney or attorney general, but hopefully I can see what that is all about, the second part. As far as the vicious dog is concerned, I'm sure that the chief knows all about it, and I can't speak for him, but I'm sure I will tell him tomorrow, because I have a meeting in the morning at 7 o'clock with our police department, so I will have a chance to discuss that. The business or the house that's out of code, and has a code violation, I will pass that on to our code person. 221st Street, the house with the blue tarp. I guess she can find it, and I will let her know about that tomorrow. The website is going to be something that's being worked on as we speak. We're trying to finalize the legalities part of it and get everything in place, so when we do start doing it, everything is taken care of. And also, I just informed the Muni Code has the code, so they're working on it. The Muni Code that was voted in has the code, and they're going to be definitive. They're going to be updating that pretty soon, and it'll be out on the website. Also, on the, I don't know if they're going to put it in print. I think the first one they may put a few in print, because I know it's going to cost a lot of money. And then the last thing is the plaza that's over there. That, yes, I did talk about it. When they got a, guess you can call it, they got a class 8, or they had a deferment for taxes, and that was one of the things I wanted them to take care of before they did it. But right now, I have talked to them about it. Other thing without trying to close them down, because I don't like to close businesses down, I've asked them, we've issued tickets, they do have tickets because of that reason. That was one of the stipulations that I had wanted them to take care of before they got this tax deferment, but it was passed without that being done, like a lot of other things were passed without it being done, but now they're my problem, so I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to talk to the owner again, which we've already talked to, told them about. Not just that, the parking lot also needs to be taken care of. And there's other things that are going on in that plaza, because they seem to think that they have a used car lot there. So they have been ticketed for those reasons. So it's not going unnoticed, but it's just, it is there, just like anybody else. They figure that you're playing with them until somebody takes you to court and tries to shut you down. I guess then that's when they'll try to listen. So that being said, are there any comments from the trustees? I'll start with Trustee Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to reiterate, Trustee Zupan brought up about the ordinances and that it says Will County. And we no longer have a thumbprint in Will County, is that correct?
Until we get everything ratified, we voted on it, they have to vote. As a matter of fact, there's another part to it that you're going to be voting on pretty soon, and that's the parcel itself, because it's going to have a new map drawn up, so we got to look at that, and we're going to have that presented to the board, and that's going to have to be voted on. So it's not just a cut and dry process, it's a 2-part, 3-part process to de-annex from a county. Now, one thing was just, all in Cook County, but now you're de-annexing from Cook County, from Will County to Cook County. So, and we'll be getting the paperwork. And we voted on to de-annex Sauk Village from that, so now we have to get a new map. They have to draw it. It has to be, go to both places now. It's going to go to Will County and to Cook County. And we're going to look at that. So
once that happens, and once we finally do that, then our ordinances, because I'm getting ready to have an ordinance done, and I want to make sure.
Oh, you're going to get that too.
Okay.
You'll get that.
Oh, and that's it. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's it? Okay. Trustee Brewer?
Mr. Mayor, I want to congratulate those employees of Public Works. They did an outstanding job this weekend. I don't know if you guys know, we had a huge water main break on 221st Street. The water main break was in 3 places this time, and the same area about 2 months ago was broken 2 places. So you have to give it to Public Works guy. They were really out there, and they really did it for us. With that being said, I want to put on record that I'm going to talk to Kevin Weller, the Public Works, and to get information so we can sort of ease into the project on getting some infrastructure repair and replacement. You you guys have to remember, this is not for Lake Michigan water. This is for the repair and replacements of the infrastructure. This infrastructure is 60 years old, and we all know things we used to do when we were 60, we cannot do anymore. And it has to be repaired and replaced at certain intervals. So with that being said, we need to take a look at what infrastructure improvement we need to make and how much it's going to cost. That's going to take a lot of information from Kevin, from Mr. Weller, and also a lot from Robinson Engineering. But we're setting up a task to look at what we need in order to make an improvement for the village of Sauk Village, because we can't keep going on with this. It costs more to maintain this structure as it is than just go on and fix it. We can look at the other options later, but right now, to pay all that money, just like 221st Street, there, if I'm not mistaken, Robinson Engineering came in with a proposal to resurface 221st Street. What's the sense of resurfacing 221st Street when you haven't addressed the underlying problems? So those are items, those are things that we need to start looking at now. Well, we should have been looking at it quite a long time ago. But it doesn't make any sense to spend that $200,000 on 221st Street when you have a great big water main break. So those are the things that we are looking at for the infrastructure committee, and also how much it's going to cost. So hopefully we'll get the information, we can start, giving you guys some feedbacks on what, we're looking at. So that's the end of my report.
Trustee Brewer.
Yes. Yes?
You made a comment in regards to you can't do what you did at 60 if you can do it now. I don't understand.
I said, we all know that the things we did when we 60, we can't do like
we all may not be 60 anyway.
What? Okay. But everything you guys know, y'all know good well you can't do everything you was doing when you was at 60.
Some of us have not made it to 60 yet.
Yeah, well, those who haven't made it, you'll know in a few minutes.
Trustee Tate?
Nothing.
Trustee Carter?
I have nothing at this time.
Trustee Zupan?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to let everybody know that I did have a meeting with the police chief last week, and he and I are talking about how to implement community-wide forums going forward on a monthly basis. He's very anxious to get those started as soon as maybe January on a either monthly or potentially twice a month basis, depending on what the community turnout is. So we're talking about how best to do that and have that happen here with either himself or one of the officers, and how to best address that, and what the topics of conversation would be, having agendas put out there, and how to handle that. So really excited, he's really excited to get that going, and so it's good to see that he's wanting to get that community engagement going quickly. So I just wanted to make sure everybody heard that, and that concludes my report. Thank you.
Is that it?
Yes.
Trustee Grant?
I have no comment.
Okay, I do have one thing I forgot to mention. I think it's Wednesday, they're having a comprehensive plan to be here at 7 o'clock. All those that came before come out, and this I think will be one of the last ones that we're going to have that will be involved. They've gathered a lot of information over the past few months, so they're going to have another one tomorrow here at 7 o'clock. Bring your ideas and come out and listen to what they may have already. Some things I'm not sure, but you can come out and listen to see where they and what the information they gathered. Also, I was just told that the consolidated election information, there's a sheet that's on the back table back there, and it gives you the dates. This is for the school district consolidation. Okay, that's all. Okay. Okay, so then this will be for the trustees and for the school district and for the library district. So this information is on the table in the back. You pick it up on the way out for those that are going to be candidates. With that being said, I'll accept the motion to adjourn. Moved by trustee Brewer, second by trustee Carter. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Thank you.